most asked questions in genetics. Let's take a look at this simple explanation. Allele, gene, DNA, and chromosomes. So this is the order in which they are categorized. So allele is like every gene comes in pair. It means every gene comes in 2 copies. You're receiving 1 copy from your mother, you're receiving 1 copy from your father. So here, let's say the gene that codes for the eye color. So we have, since it's I, let's use E. Let's say you're heterozygotes, EE. So one of these copies came from your father and the other from your mother. So you could be heterozygous for eye color. So these are the 2 genes. Each of these genes is an allele. So an allele is just 1 copy in a pair of genes. Now what's a gene? What is a gene? Now a gene is the basic unit of inheritance. The basic unit of inheritance. That is from Mendelian genetics. Now from molecular genetics, a gene is a stretch of DNA that codes for a specific RNA molecule that in turn codes for a specific protein or perform a specific function, because not all genes code for proteins. Some may code for proteins and some may code for other functions. So we can say that if this is a DNA molecule, okay, so they say a gene is a segment. So let's say this segment is a gene. So that's what a gene is. So which means we find genes on a DNA molecule, right? Okay. So now let's go to DNA. What's DNA? DNA is this long strand, right? DNA is this long double helix. This double helical structure. So this is the DNA. The molecule that has the information that is required, that our body required to perform functions, to make all of the proteins that our body needs for its functions. So this is the DNA molecule, the blueprint, the material. Now, why we place chromosome above DNA is because chromosome is a condensed form of DNA. Now, chromosome is not just the DNA alone. The chromosome is DNA and histone proteins. So we have histone proteins. So this DNA molecule that is too long, about 2 meters in each of the human cell. So this DNA molecule has to fit inside of the cell's nucleus, right, where the DNA is found. So but since it is very long, it has to coil and supercoil around these histone proteins. So it coils itself, bind itself around these histone proteins to condense in the structure that we have, the chromosome. So we now have something like this. So we'll have something like this as a chromosome structure. So we'll have something like this, right? So this is the chromosome structure. This is centromere. So that's why we say that we place the chromosome above the DNA, because chromosome is DNA plus histone proteins. DNA plus histone proteins and other proteins, perhaps. So DNA is the long molecule here, the genetic material that has the instructions that our bodies need to make all of the proteins that the body needs for its functions. So when this DNA molecule, combines with histone proteins to condense, it becomes the chromosome. And we have about 23 pairs of these chromosomes in each of the human cells. We know that. So this is just the relationship between all of this, is that 2 copies of alleles make a particular gene that performs that's responsible for a particular trait, say eye color. So the gene that's responsible for every trait in humans, in this case, they come in pair. So an allele is just 1 copy. For every 2 copies of genes you see, 1 of the copies is an allele. Now the gene is located on the chromosome, which is still the DNA. So this gene, let's say this is the DNA molecule. So this is the segment of the DNA. So you can see that this is a gene, right? And then this DNA molecule compacts, condenses to form the chromosome. So the chromosome is not just the DNA. Chromosome is DNA plus histone proteins, plus maybe other proteins and other molecules that bind together to condense, to compact the DNA molecule in order to fit inside of the cell. I hope this video helps you. If you find this helpful, please share it to biology students out there, share it to medical students, students of agriculture, and let's continue to learn together.